The trip is starting in New York on the USS Constitution. The first person you saw was Mr. Randazzo and some of his family, my father, my mother, Rosemary, that's Gasparino, Uncle Batasano, Aunt Marie, my brother. That's little Roy. This is 1953. As you can see, the whole family was there aboard ship. This is part of our send-off, start of a 6-week trip to Italy. The tugs are putting us out into New York Harbor. We're going into the Hudson and getting ready for our journey to Italy. This is part of the harbor scene. We were passing the sister ship to the Constitution, which is the USS Independence. We were someplace in the Atlantic. The fog affected the film, so you can see that it looks very white and washed out. Our first stop was in, this appears to be Gibraltar. We made two stops, Gibraltar, Cannes, and as you're coming in now into Genoa, you're seeing some of the background of Genoa as the ship is pulled backwards into the port area. Genoa is a fairly small port. This is a park dedicated to Christopher Columbus, who originally came from Genoa. And as you can see some of the sculptures, it looks rather nice there. We're now in Sicily. We spent some time on a farm that Uncle Edu owned, or at least he owned the land and he rented to a local farmer. You see myself and Lena. Photography is a little jumpy because they weren't familiar with the camera. That's Sado Salvateri waving, and this is Lena and Sado. You're seeing some wheat fields in the background. But we were there, it was summertime, as you obviously can see, and we're all aboard a local transportation. Everybody's paid their fare. And I think this was a birthday party. That's Aunt Nina on the left, and Sado, my father. Uncle Lidu, cutting a birthday cake. I think it was Mama Rosa's birthday, if I remember, and there's Mama Rosa. And this is Gaspar. And Lena again. Yeah, considering how many years ago, you might not recognize it, right? That's Sado Salvateri. And we're all at Sali Nunta, which is a Greek ruins not too far from Patana. If you go there today, you'll see tremendous amount of development, a lot of summer homes. At that time, it was just a small fishing village with very few people in the area. Everything you see now is undeveloped. But that's Sado again, and my mother. And I think you could pick up most of the people. Again, Sado and Lena. Artistic work here with the camera on the angle. That's Aunt Petrina, who's now 92, and Mama Rosa again, with the people that ran the farm. It looks like there's Gaspar and my father. I'm pointing out these people because you might not recognize them, but we're back in Pertana again after we left the farm. And this is a hot water springs in Pertana, which is just outside of Pertana, called Acqua Calda. It's a volcano. Because of volcano activity, there's a lot of hot water springs there, and people go there for bathing. A little overlapping on the photography here, but pretty much the same area that we're showing the hot water coming out of the ground and feeding this pool. Sometimes the scenery gets a little boring, but pretty much these are local people, and some of us are in a pool there. You may not necessarily pick us up, but the group of us, we stay pretty much together for the summer. And this is a game that they play with 2 sticks and a loop, and you kind of pitch the loop back and forth, catching them on the sticks. Someone was trying to follow it, which is almost impossible to do, to follow the loop back and forth, but pretty much the trick is to keep it going as long as you can. And from Partana, we traveled then for a couple of weeks through Italy. This is in Rome. It's a forum for the sports that Mussolini built and dedicated to sports activities, probably soccer and some other events that they held here. And again, this is another scene in Rome. It's a tomb to the king, Victoria Emmanuel, and these are just basically some scenes through Rome, and then on to Florence, which is Duomo, the famous cathedral in Florence, and the background are the doors, brass and gold that are cast, and local street scenes through the markets. And this is an overview of Florence, which is really a great place to visit. Sometimes when you're traveling, the scenery seems important, but 40 years later, I think it's the people that we really have the interest in. From Florence, we went up to Venice. This is my father with my mother and the local pigeons. St. Mark's Cathedral, which really over the centuries hasn't changed. It was built sometime in 1300. This is the piazza around the cathedral, and some of the gondolas. But pretty much it looks exactly the same today. We've been back 3 or 4 times since 1953, and nothing really has changed. It'll probably be the same for centuries to come. This is a local bus as we're traveling through the canals of Venice. That particular church was named after my father, Saint Eustachio, and that's myself, some 40 years ago. And again, more scenes from the Grand Canal in Venice. Money went a lot farther in those days, so this was a pretty inexpensive trip by today's standards. Here we are back in Partana again. That was Lilo and Sato and Lena again. Today Lilo is a little different looking. He has less hair, but basically you would recognize him. This is a scene from the villa in Partana, and again, water shortage. They didn't have any running water. That cart you just saw was the local water delivery. And this is Frank from Vineland, Frank Ferrari, and his mother, Aunt Petrina, and Lena. But pretty much these are street scenes in Partana in 1953. No cars. Mama Rosa again, and Aunt Nina, and some local people. And this is Sato. And some dramatic scenes to end our stay there.